Welcome to the Growth Boss podcast, where we seek out the secrets to high-performing campaigns from some of the smartest marketers in the world. I'm your host, Jared Smith. Today, I have Roseline with me, and she's going to teach us the landing page formula for exceptional growth. Roseline, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So for people who may not be familiar with you, could you give us just a real brief 60-second background on your story?
Okay, I'm a UI UX designer and also a pharmacist. So I studied pharmacy in school and then just had to started learning UI UX design 2 years ago. And it's been a roller coaster because I self-taught myself. So it wasn't all that easy, but I started putting myself out there on LinkedIn, trying to learn more from mentors and getting to work with businesses, helping them to design websites, apps for their businesses just to make them go out there. And I would say it's been a smooth journey so far, and I'm still in the process of working with more businesses.
Yeah, awesome. That's fantastic. So walk us through this process. How do you create a landing page that gets exceptional results, exceptional growth? Kind of walk us through the very beginning, obviously, before you're even writing or designing or doing any of that. I'm sure there's some sort of collection process. Maybe you can start there.
Okay. So first of all, I'll maybe explain what landing page is.
Yeah.
Landing page is more like the start page, the page where people see for your business is more specific. Landing page is different from website. And I think that's where people get it wrong. They more think landing page is a website. It's actually not a website. It's more specific. Website is more shows general information about your business, about your brand. So take, for instance, you want to push out a product, a single product, you can actually create a landing page product because it helps keep the customers or your clients sticking to one product you want them to see. They are not distracted with so many other things. And because they are focused on one particular product, they tend to more click, buy your product and know more about that product. And that's where you get your conversions from. So the process takes is, first of all, I do my user research because I need to understand what users want. We are building a landing page that users would want to use. And so I try to understand how my users think. So I try to ask the company, what kind of users is your product for? And when I know the kind of users they want that product to be for, I try to ask them, make research, gather a group of people, ask them questions they would like to know. And from their responses, it tends to give me idea of what to design because of course your landing page should not be just for the company. It should be something that would be relatable to users because they are the ones that would eventually use the product. So because I get to know what users want, I then have idea, put them all together, try to draft out, still using the company's goal in mind to, draft out something nice. When I draft out something nice, I show it to the stakeholders and to the companies, and then we collaborate together because I'm very big with collaboration and working with teams. So I try to bring everybody's idea together. We had remove and everything, and then go ahead to design something pleasing to the eyes because of course, nobody wants to see a clumsy or scattered landing page. So I try to design something that would be eye-catching to people and they would want to know more. And also, I usually like to write the content, the UX writing of my design, because I tend to write in a storytelling format such that it's going to feel personal to the users, and then they tend to relate more with the product that way. And they don't get bored at any point when they are looking at the landing page. So I write in such a way that they are interested in knowing more about the product and wanting to purchase the product. And that's basically it. And then design. And I still get a lot of people to more test the product, show them how do you think or what do you feel about this landing page. And if we get a good positive result, we're good to roll, work with developers to make it live. And that's basically it.
Okay, very good. First of all, where do you go for your research? And two, what's kind of the 80-20 rule of the research side where you are able to grab the essential things that are going to make kind of the biggest impact when you actually go to design those landing pages?
Okay, so let's take for an instance, we're working with a clothing brand. What kind of clothing materials or do you want to put out there? Let's say they're working with jumpers and I'm okay, fine. Jumpers. Do you want jumpers for adults alone or for kids? So these are steps I take to understand better the kind of products they want to put out. And then let's say they tell me, oh, the jumper is just going to be for middle class people, or meet like people within certain age range. So I try to look for people within that age range, gather them together. I either use Google Form to more like carry out a survey, and then I use interview method, more like one-on-one physical interview method, or phone calls just to call people I know that are within that age range. I try to get ideas from different parts of the world. Like when I ask the company, do you want to make your brand locally or do you want to make it like global? So I try to like get people from different parts of the world to answer my to participate in my survey. And after doing that, from the response, of course, knowing what the brand actually wants would inform me in knowing the kind of questions I ask the users. So that way, I know what exactly I'm trying to get from the users. I want to know, do they want something thick? Do they want thick jumpers? Do they want colorful jumpers? What kind of materials do they want? Knowing what the users want. If users prefer jumpers made with cotton and then the brand is producing something made with maybe something else, they might not sell well because they are not producing what users actually want. And that's where the user survey actually comes from, knowing what exactly users want, and then the brand itself now producing what users want. Because when you produce what users want, they tend to like go for it and buy what you actually have to offer them.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. And so when it actually comes to the design phase, how do you determine kind of what's going to go first, what's going to go second, third on the page?
I would not say there is actually a rule, but there's always a format for it. But then every business is different from your research, and it depends on what the brand wants. Now, it's the landing page. You want to think, do I just want people to click and just order and buy? So I know that if that is what the company is trying to achieve, the first page of the landing page, once they click on the link, should be something catchy that will make them want to buy whatever they're saying there. So the write-up has to be so catchy and the tagline has to be so catchy. And then that's where the design comes to play as well. Not about having a very nice, eye-catchy design plays a good role, because they tend to be attracted to something colorful, something bright, something pleasing to the eyes. So your tagline, based on the research, you would know what your user should want. So you will actually have to like arrange it in order of preference. Of course, you have to work together with the brand, knowing what the brand actually wants to achieve. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what kind of the next step in that process?
So after the research, normally you do more like analysis of your research, trying to like, get what, as people said, and just analyze everything to come up with a very big idea with the stakeholders and the company. And then once you're done with that stage, normally we usually carry out competitive analysis, where you try to check other brands that are doing something similar, watch out what they do, and you try to bring out something innovative, something that will be like a step higher than your competitors, because you don't want to put out the same thing your competitors are doing. Doesn't make any difference. Like you need to like step up your game. So we try to like, compare. This is what our competitors have. This is what they're doing. What can we offer more? What is something catchy we can offer more that will make users want to buy our products compared to others? And from there, after doing that, we then tend to come up with features or sweet write-ups that we can write and go on with the designing.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. And what has been some of the most interesting tidbits that you've pulled out of competitor research that really altered your campaign, your client's campaign?
That would be, depending on the product I'm working on, is usually not the same for all brands. Depending on the brands you're working on. Say, I'll still use a clothing brand, for instance. Say a clothing brand put out one. And that's why sometimes you see someone will tell you, oh, we're putting out a new product, and then they're telling you, if you get two, you get one more free, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are like, oh, this is what we're trying to do. Let's say our competitors are not doing that, they're just selling. Or you might think of, okay, should we make it so catchy? Do we put animation in our landing page to attract people? Should we reduce our price in a way, or more like put just anything? You just try to like look for a fault or something you can use to step up your game compared to what your competitors are doing.
Yeah, good. And after the competitor analysis stage, what comes next?
Mm-hmm. So after the competitor analysis stage, you try to more like derive features you want for your app or for your product. Like, okay, this is what and what we need. This is what and what you need. Because you don't want to have the exact same features your competitors have. So from the competitor analysis, you tend to derive more features you want. And based on your user research, you get more features that you feel that the users have told you they would want in a landing page or in that product. So you tend to add them together and just, find a way to fine tune everything and bring it to life.
Yeah. Beautiful. And how long does this whole process take? I mean, this is obviously a lot of work for a landing page.
Yes, there's actually no specific time. Depends on the brand. Some brands can just tell you, oh, we have 3 months, we have 6 months to make all these projects work. And so you need to just get rolling and start working as fast as you can. And it's usually sweeter and faster when they have like enough staffs to actually work. So it's not one person doing the whole process. So personally, when I get a job, I like try to ask how many months, how many weeks do we have for this project? And when I know how many weeks they have, I tend to like give myself, like tax myself, I will do this for this week, I'll do this for that week, and just try to split the job role.
Love it. And so after kind of the features are all set, what comes next after that?
So when the features are set, I think then we start doing what we call wireframing. Wireframing is more like drafting, more like sketching out how you want the landing page to look like, because of course it takes longer for you to just start designing without having a sketch of what you want to design. So we have more like do a sketch of how we want the page to look like, and we did then go ahead to design something we call low fidelity, where we just more like design it. There's no color, no picture, nothing. It's just to show you how it will eventually look like once we are done designing. And once we're done with that, we show it to the company, and then they see, I'm like, okay, they have idea of what their landing page would look like. And once that is approved, we then go ahead to like design, put in the brand colors, and just make it really look nice.
Yeah, I love it. And what tools do you like to use or tool in that wireframing phase?
Okay, so you can actually there are different methods doing wireframing. Some is like the normal paper and pen, having a sheet and then drawing them out. And then there are so many online apps you can actually use to also draw your wireframe. Personally, really, really used to doing the paper and pen.
Yeah.
I know. It's just easy for me to like, oh, I'm just drawing. When the inspiration comes, I just sketch it out. I can erase as fast as I can and add more features and all of that. But I'm learning to actually use like apps on my system to do them. But I tend to be slower when I use app on my system than when I just, take my paper and just draw.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I can relate to that. I prefer pen and paper for kind of sketching quick things out too. And then obviously you're kind of then designing the more professional landing page, or incorporating the brand colors, things of that nature. Does it just go straight to coding, or is there another process after you have it designed out?
Okay, so after you have it designed out, before you take it for coding, we actually do something we call prototyping. More like there's a way we prototype to give you a visual representation of how the app works. More like, if I want this part to be swiping, do I want this place to fly in? There's a way we do it on Figma. We use Figma to design. I use Figma to design, and I can do the prototype more like, and then show it to the company, and they can have a look of, this is how the app will actually look when it's active. So it's more like you having a glimpse of what it will look like even before the coding process. And if it looked nice, and I then work with the developers. From the beginning, I usually love to work with my developers so that I don't end up doing a work and then they tell me it's not achievable, like in terms of coding. That means I have to start the work again. So I like to like work in team with everyone, tell them this is the kind of prototype I'm doing. Is that okay? Is it fine? If we're cool with it, then we go ahead with the work.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. So you kind of do a little bit of prototyping, then you go to coding from there. Yeah, good. And then you launch, I assume. And then is there any sort of feedback that you get from the client or analytics tools?
Yes. So that's called usability testing.
Okay.
That's what we usually do. So from the prototype, you can actually do that from the prototyping phase, where after the prototype, because like I said, once you do the prototype, it gives you like a view of what the website would look like, or what the landing page would look like, even after coding. So we send the link, we call people where we can use, people who would use for usability testing, and we just give them the link, play it. We don't have to tell them what to do. That's the beauty of it. Just leave them to do it. So you watch them, get feedback from them. If you find out they are struggling to navigate something, then you know there's a problem.
Yeah.
Because of course you're not going to be with users when they're using your link to teach them what to do. So that's why the design has to be done in a way that it is user-centered and it is easy to navigate. That's where like we have to put all that in when you are designing as well. And then you have to like use common icons that people can easily recognize that this is what this icon is for. And after that usability testing, you get feedbacks from people. They tell you, oh, nice, I like the experience I had when I was going through the landing page. And I think, permit me to say this, I think I remember the landing page I designed for a sleep tea brand. It was a dummy project for me. It wasn't like for a live company. It was just a dummy project. And the feedback I got from people was that they were actually thinking it was for a real product because the write-up, the whole thing was really catchy, and people were asking me, where do they get that product? I'm like, no, this product does not exist. Wow. I just did the project on my own. So that is how a real project should look like, something that when people see it, they actually want to go for your product. And that's how you get conversions like from landing page.
I love it. So obviously you built out a lot of different landing pages. What are kind of the common factors that you feel like your most successful landing pages have in common?
Okay, it has to be very simple and very clear. The words, it has to be very clear and simple. Like I said, landing page is not meant to be cumbersome. It's not meant to have a lot of things. It's meant to focus on just a particular product. Yeah. If I'm doing something on sleep tea, I should not have click here to know more about my other product, click here to know more about slippers, or click here to know more about jumpers. No, you should focus on one product so that your users know what exactly they want to do. And if I'm writing something on sleep tea, the first line, the first thing users are saying should be something captivating to them. And you have to make sure to use the right image. Like sometimes image plays a lot. When you see image or something, you tend to like even know what the product is about, even without them having to like read more. They tend to like know. Just going back to the sleep tea product I did, I had this image of this dreaming, someone sleeping, and I can't even remember. Like it was so catchy, and the responses were like, "Oh, seeing this image, seeing the picture I used makes them feel sleepy already." You get, so that's one thing that should be common. You need to like know how to use good image. Your use of colors has to be like very perfect, such that colors are not contrasting with each other. And then font as well. You need to like know the right font to use, because of course we need to like put inclusion. You need to like have this inclusion in your designing, such that you're designing for anybody, for people with eye problems and all of that. So your design has to like be really, really nice. You don't have to make them really tiny that people have to strain their eyes to see. Yep. And you just have to like make your work neat and clear, give a lot of white spaces, don't like chalk them up all up together.
Yeah, love it. And what do you charge for this service where you're spending sometimes weeks, maybe months building landing pages for a company?
The charge, honestly, I would say charge rate is not constant. Okay. There's no fixed charge because every project is different. Some projects come to tell you they've already done the user research. They just need you to do every other thing. So of course, the amount you charge them is different from when you have to like do everything. And then it depends on how fast or how urgent. There are people that give you just 2 weeks to come up with something nice for them. And some people give you like time. And it depends on how bulky or how big the project is. That's how we charge for landing pages, because it's usually landing pages is just usually like 1 page or max 2-3 pages, and that's all.
Yeah. And what's the range though that people can expect?
I would say just the rough range, like from the minimum should be from like $800 above. So it depends, honestly.
Okay.
800, 700. It depends, honestly.
Yeah. There's a lot of factors.
Yeah. There's a lot of factors, and it depends on like maybe your relationship with the person doing the job and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Well, Roseline, thank you so much. This has been a really great episode. Great to get to know you and learn more about your landing page process. For people who want to follow you or connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I'm easily accessible on LinkedIn, Twitter, anywhere.
You're everywhere. I love it. So we'll link up to your profiles in the show notes then. Thank you so much again.